Hello, 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 and welcome back. My name's Katama, and I'm so happy you've joined me again. Just so grateful for everybody who's tuned in. And if you're new here, welcome. We're here to talk about emotional healing, learning to be at peace with yourself, and really just enjoy who you are and who you were made to be. So today, I want to talk about something called loving yourself. And I don't know why, but I have Justin Bieber's song stuck in my mind. Love yourself. I decided to Google love yourself and see what came up, and that was like the first thing that came up. And that's not what we're talking about though, because that's a little bit of a different concept there. But I really just want to focus on how we can love ourselves for who we are and just the importance of it, like the significance of loving ourselves. As a child, I was taught that my focus should never be inward on myself, but it should be outwards towards other people and how I can better the lives of others. But I didn't realize that in order to better other people's lives, I needed to better my life first. My life needed to be the place from where I love other people. In the Bible, there is a scripture that says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And whatever's going in your heart is what is going to come out of you, right? And so if there's bitterness and sorrow and pain, guess what? All of that bitterness and sorrow and pain is what is going to come out of you. But if there's joy and goodness and love and acceptance, like that is what is going to come out of you, and that is what people are going to be attracted to. That is what is going to help others. And so that is what I really want to just briefly touch on and give us some tips, give us some things that we can think about today and how we can love ourselves. It is not a bad thing. I just want to tell you right now, if you are one of those people who think loving ourselves is narcissistic, loving ourselves can be selfish, I just want to say no, no, and no some more. Loving ourselves is none of those things. Really, as I said, the only way we can live well, the only way we can interact with people well, it starts with a place of self-love. It starts with a place of knowing who we are inside and accepting who we are, focusing on ourselves to fix those things that are not good, to nurture those things that need nurturing, so that when we do go out in the world, we're not always focused on ourselves, but we can look to others, we can see others for who they are. And so let's dive in. So what is love? Like, what is self-love? And I looked in the dictionary, and love in the dictionary says a deep affection or liking, which in this case, I am very happy with that definition. Like, we need to have a deep affection and liking for ourselves. We need that for ourselves, and that it's not egotistical to have a deep affection for yourself. The way you live that out can turn egotistical, but liking ourselves deeply, there is nothing wrong with that. And so I agree with that. And I think it is so important that we learn to look in the mirror and enjoy what we see looking back at us. I know for myself, for the longest time, I hated looking in the mirror. Looking in the mirror was one of the worst things I could do. And so I never looked in the mirror for most of my life. I would get dressed without a mirror, and you know that can go south very quickly. Leaving the house with clothes back to front, with hair, especially with my African hair, pieces could be out and I didn't even know it. So looking in the mirror is important, and liking what we see in the mirror is also important. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do. Is like, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Who do you see staring back at you? Do you see someone that you're proud of? Do you see someone that you enjoy? Do you see someone that you can be like, hey, I am fly, can't nobody touch this girl or this guy? That's what we need to see when we see ourselves in the mirror, and that's 100% okay. And that's the beauty about loving ourselves, is that we realize that who we are is okay. is more than okay sometimes. Like for me, I'm recognizing that, hey, this girl, she be very fly. And I am so grateful that I've learned to love myself, that I've learned to embrace that I am unique. Nobody looks like me, nobody acts like me, nobody talks like me, nobody has a history like me. And so why must I be shy about who I am? I bring a very unique perspective to this world, and so do you. And so when we love ourselves, we allow these pieces of ourselves to come out, and we can impact the world better when we are in alignment with who we are, when we enjoy who we are, than when we are disagreeing about who we are, when we are trying to hide and shun ourselves and reject ourselves. Like when we do those things, we don't bring much to the table. We think that we are less than who we are supposed to be, and we're not. There's space in this world for all of us to be great, for all of us to love ourselves, for all of us to bring our best to the table. Imagine if we all did bring our best to the table. Imagine what kind of a world this would look like. But here, some of us are feeling ashamed of ourselves. Some of us are feeling down about our abilities, feeling down about our upbringings and where we come from. And it's like, no, you can actually love that part of yourself. Yes, it may hurt, it may not have looked great at all, but it doesn't mean that those places of your life are shameful. Those places of your life deserve less recognition. The more you're able to love even those hard parts, the more you're able to stand up and say, hey, actually, I've come a long way, and I love how I've overcome. Or the more you're able to say, hey, I see you walking down the same road that I walked down, and you don't have to walk down that way. Here's how you can change. Here's how you can love yourself. Here's how you can love your experiences. You see, when we love ourselves, it gives us freedom to interact with the world in ways that a lack of self-love doesn't do that. You know, if you look at loveless places, you see that there's no growth, there's no life, there's just things are dead, and nobody likes to be in a place where things are dead, and that's what we're doing to ourselves. We're killing parts of ourselves that are important when we don't love ourselves properly. I just really want to emphasize the power that we give ourselves and that we take back in our lives when we love ourselves, when we choose to love, especially those bits that are not lovable. When we choose to love ourselves, I guarantee you will see a different side of your life. You'll just see things in a brighter perspective, and that's the power of love. So let me leave you with some things that we can do that can help us love ourselves. So we're going to break this up into what you need to stop doing and what you need to start doing or start doing more of if you're already doing this in your life. Kudos to you. So, to stop comparing yourself to other people. You are unique. Your circumstances are unique. Your family makeup is unique. No one has experienced the same things you have experienced. The way your brain functions is 100% unique. It doesn't mean that there are not similarities in this world. It doesn't mean that people don't like the same things you like. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about embracing yourself fully for who you are. So for me, I had to stop comparing myself to friends who had a stable upbringing. I had the privilege of being in good schools my whole life, from primary school, but my one thing was that I did not have a stable home. And I love my parents today. I love them then for what they did, but my home environment wasn't as conducive as what it needed to be for me to thrive. And then I would sit there and compare myself against these people who have parents that are nurturing and so involved in their everyday life, and that was not my luxury. My dad had to work so that I could have what I have, and so he wasn't available at home. And whereas their dads, yes, they had to work, but they didn't have to work as hard as my dad did. Right, so they were available, they were home, going to the games, etc., etc. So that meant they had a different experience than I did. And I would look at them and I would feel so less than, because I didn't have what they had, but I had to function the way they had to function. And I didn't realize I could give myself grace for my circumstances. And it was that comparison, though, that put me in that place. And so I want to encourage you, whatever you are comparing, doesn't matter where you find yourself at work, at school, wherever you are, your siblings, stop comparing yourself to them. Even with your siblings, they are experiencing life way different to you are. And so allow yourself to experience your life the way you are experiencing it. Allow your experiences and the things that trigger you or the things that excite you, allow them to do what they do and shape you. And stop looking at the next person and saying, but they X, Y, and Z, why am I not there? You're not there for a reason. And we don't know what that reason is. Time is still coming if you want to achieve high things, but you're not going to get there by comparing yourself. So stop comparing yourself to others. It serves no one. It stops you from being who you are, and it stops you from embracing your unique identity that you have. It stops you from really loving yourself and actually then looking at yourself and seeing, hey, actually I am good at A, B, and C, so I'm going to go after A, B, and C. You know, someone in a similar field to us may be good at X, Y, Z. But just because they're good at X, Y, Z doesn't mean that you have to be good at X, Y, Z, because that is not your makeup. So I hope that makes sense. Stop comparing yourself. Secondly, stop the negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is not getting you anywhere. I know there are people who believe that if you hate on someone, if you belittle yourself, those are ways to encourage yourself, motivate yourself to do well. You are killing yourself inside. You don't know what you're doing to yourself, your heart. You're demotivating yourself. And so I want to tell you to stop the negative self-talk. Have you noticed where people are loved well, like how much they thrive? So that is what I want to encourage you, is that the negative self-talk doesn't help you thrive. It takes away from you, and you want to give to yourself. You want to build. You want to add to your life. So do more of the letting go of the negative self-talk. It's over. Gone are the days where we need to be rough and tough and who we're not. Nope, just let go of it. It's not helping you anymore. Also, let go of the gossiping. Gossiping about other people actually reveals more about you than it reveals about the other person. Yes, some people may do stuff that we don't agree with, and it's fine. Like, we can say, hey, I don't agree with what this person has done. But when we start gossiping about them and speculating about their choices and their life, like, that is not good. That's part of the negativity. You don't want to be spreading negativity into other people's lives unnecessary. Like, see why you are gossiping about somebody else, and then look inside and say, oh, actually, I'm gossiping because their lifestyle touched my lack or whatever it is. Because sometimes we gossip about others because we don't have what they have, or we feel insecure about what they're living up to be, or who they are, or the experiences they had. Like, gossip is just unnecessary. It also puts others down. So stop the gossip. Then the last one is stop doing things that don't serve your life. This is hard. I know it's hard because, all of these things I have been through, and I have had to cut them out of my life. It can be something as simple as watching shows that don't serve you. And what I mean by serve you is, like, there are so many shows on TV these days where people just argue all day, all show. Now tell me, what does that show do to you? It leaves you feeling frustrated. It leaves you, unless you go after the drama. But for me, it just leaves something negative in my spirit. And I'm like, I just don't need that negative input into my life. And neither do you. So be brave enough and bold enough to go against the status quo of society and realize that you don't need some of these influences that you are bringing into your life. And I mentioned TV because TV is a big part of our lives today. So for me, I decided that for the kind of life I want, there's lots of TV shows that do not serve me. So I mostly stay away from TV. I do watch some reality TV, but it's like Fixer Upper. And, shows that uplift people, shows that bring joy and hope and leave me feeling like, oh, I want to do those things. You know, I watch a lot of cooking shows because I'm like, oh, I'm inspired. I want to go and cook. I want to try a new recipe. So stop bringing things into your life that you don't need and actually sit down and assess, do I really need this thing? Like another example could be, do I always need to go out and party with people? And the answer was like, no. I can choose the things that I enjoy doing. Like I love to go watch live music, so I'm going to go do more of that. I enjoy instructional classes, so I'm going to go do more of that. And it doesn't matter if I feel like I'm missing out. I'm not missing out on anything. Who has the right to tell me what I'm missing out on? Nobody. It's me that tells me I'm missing out on something. But if my life is fulfilled because I have chosen to leave certain things out of my life, then I'm going to do that. And I suggest you do that too. Right, so those were just a few things that you can start doing, and I suggest sit down, make a list of like, I am not feeling good about that, and this is why. You will see how some of your choices is what is causing you to feel not good inside. And by eliminating those choices, you can improve your life. It doesn't have to be these big, like, angels come and tell you, you must do this or that. No angel is going to come. It's actually up to you to decide what quality of life you want, and then remove things from your life that do not serve that quality. Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, your life is worth you taking the time to stop certain things so that you can have a better life. It is worth it. You are worth it. So I hope I've given you some tips on things that you can do today. Simple things. We're not asking you to do anything that is beyond you, but just simple, small steps that you can take so that you can stop doing things that don't serve you. Your life is worth it. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing both sides of the coin, what you can stop and what you can start. So stay tuned for next time, and I'll discuss some of the things you can start. Cool stuff. I hope you have a great day. Cheers.